Yo, what's up guys, Permute here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make an Astaroth slash Dveight style Tearout drop. And I'm going to cover everything from the sound design to the mixing. This song is out for free on SoundCloud, it's called Alarm. I'll link it in the description. Make sure to throw it some love if you like the tune. But otherwise, this is my first tutorial in a video, so if you have any feedback or suggestions, leave it in the comments. I'm also going to probably start a Patreon here soon, just to drop off project files and sample packs monthly, most likely. Let me know if that's something that you'd be interested in. Other than that, I'm going to play a snippet of the drop and we can get into the breakdown. So yeah, that's Alarm. Now let's get started. First we're going to dive into the drums and get them out of the way. They're pretty boilerplate for Riddim. We have the kick, 1 and 3, clap on 3, hats every beat. I'll play them together and then break down each processing. They're not very complicated. So first this kick, it's a mob kick, literally just clipped. One of these is a soft clipper and the other is a hard clipper. It's straight out of like the clip to 0. You want to reduce the distance between the top and the bottom of the waveform with the soft clipper, then boost it with the hard clipper. Clap, same thing. There's this little drum fill. It has an EQ on it, and then a little bit of reverb and tape distort, but otherwise the same. Kick. Clap. Then the hat. The only thing special going on with the hat is that it's delayed by 54 milliseconds, and that just keeps it in line with the bass, because the transient of the bass is never going to be on like the exact downbeat. They're processed together. There's a lot of stuff from transitions, mostly like these EQs, fab filter, all this stuff is just for transitions. There's a mishby that is happening all the time. That's just tape distortion, a little bit of tape distort, and full quality. But other than that, the drums are literally as simple as they go. There's a reverb on the first hit of the kick because it hits with a fake downbeat, I guess. But other than that, that's all the drums. As far as the first basses go, there's this downbeat bass. I'll play it real quick. It's very messy for this first hit, and then I tighten it up. This first hit is messy mostly because this comb filter. It's set up on just a stereoize mode on minus and low hertz because that gives you a nice tonal delay. And I just wanted that because as I build into the drop, I have this utility that's reducing the width, and then I wanted this first hit of the downbeat to be like, wow, this is wide as fuck. So the comb filter does that. And same with the reverb on the kick up there. As far as this goes, the sound design is not very complicated. I just took this vocoder bass from Mob. Let me find it. Sounds like this. Put it in a granulator and fucked around with the position, scan, and grain size until I got stuff that I wanted. Processing is pretty light too, in all honesty. Just this K clip, 1 dB soft clip, into a mishby, which is more tape distort. This auto filter is only on the messy bit because it was a little bit too gnarly without the auto filter there. And then there's a timeless delay from Fab Filter on the normal settings, and then a Fab Filter Pro R doing a pretty much mid reverb, a little bit of highs in there as well. That's that. Moving on to the sub here. It's a pretty standard sub, just a clean sine out of operator, getting pushed through tape distortion, and then at the bus level it's getting clipped together with the mid bass with another tape distort. But by itself, just sounds like this. I wanted to leave it clean by itself so that the distortion comes from when it's being combined with the mid bass. I find that doing all the dirtiness on the sub and not on the group of the sub and the mid bass gets a way less clean result than doing it all together. It has to do with phasing, but I'm not going to dive into all that. All you really need to know is that it works. So onto this mid bass. It's delayed by 1 millisecond. That one's very important. Same with the sub. Oh, not the sub actually. That's the secret sauce. But this mid bass, I'll play it by itself. Man, that's loud. So it's just this little mud pie that I rendered out in Reason, in Reason. It's very high end focused, which is why it doesn't come with a baked in sub. In fact, it was so high end focused that like the first thing I did is shift it down by 1 kilohertz. I put 2 dispersers on it, mostly because I wanted it to be a little bit less transient-y, and a little bit more smeared, I guess, to go with the sound design, and that helps with the noisiness too. EQ, nerfing highs a bit, cutting lows, nerfing 1 kilohertz, standard stuff. 2 clippers, soft clip, hard clip. Mishby, tape distort. It's just doing a little bit of a lot of distortion. EQ for transitions. Well, it was for the intro, but I have made that into another patch, so. And then those are both just remnants from the intro. So it doesn't really sound great all on its own, but the magic kind of happens when you group it with the sub. It's also shifted down again here by 1.3 kilohertz and tape distorted again just by itself. And then on the layer with the sub, another tape distort, putting it with the sub. And then you can kind of hear it come together here. You can hear that it does, like the sub does a lot for this. Without the sub, it's crazy how all of that high-end harshness gets really absorbed by the distortion, and it becomes very warm from like a clinically clean noisiness, I guess. Over here on this main layer, this is like the whole sidechain layer, I have an EQ that's nerfing the low mids and then cutting 1 kilohertz. It's split into like a dry chain, and then there's a wet chain that has AU matrix reverb. It's very shitty. Leotrix uses it a lot. That's who I learned it from. But it's the shittiest reverb in the planet, and it's a nice timbre. Mishby, more glue. That's what Mishby does, I guess. More EQ, same setting. In fact, it's copied from over earlier on the other chain, I guess. And then shaper box from the sub or from the kick. I still do audio side chaining. I know a lot of people do MIDI, but this is what works for me. Very tight because the kick is snappy. And yeah, all of these other layers of the bass are duplicated, except they start at a different spot. So you can see like here, the granulator starts on these 2 hits. Here they start here, and that's just because I needed like a snappier transient here, basically. Alright, and then that's it for the basses, really. There's another one here that's starting back over there, and yeah, the exact same patch. And then as far as effects in the drop go, I have this little Game & Watch sound. It sounds like, let me find it. Sounds like this. And I'm putting it through some EQ, delay, clipper, reverb, and then this, actually not that, and then this reverb, and that kind of gives it like a little sound. Nice for little drop effects. I find that in like when writing the flow of the drop, it's cool to have sometimes instead of a big downbeat or fill, to have a little spooky effect. I don't know why, but to me, sometimes that contrast is a lot better than just having like another big bass. That's definitely just a me thing though. I also rendered out a hit of the bass over here, and I think it adds a lot to this transition between basses. Man, those are harsh by themselves, but I like this fill in context, I guess. I don't know, it just sounded cool. I'm not a good dubstep bass, if you can't tell. But that's literally it for the drop. I have this send that's just a layer which is a reverb on very high decay time, with the lows taken out. I use this to guide the flow and just kind of filter, use it as a reverb throw. And I have my bass layer just always sent to this and just modulating the volume when I need to. But yeah, that's the drop. Over here I have I turn this little fill into a flow for a second, but it's probably the worst part of the song. Just because it doesn't really have a good defined sub, I guess. But it does still sound neat, and it's a decent contrast, I guess. As far as the intro goes, and hopefully this isn't what you're excited about, because this is about as simple as the intros get. From top to bottom, I have my drums coming in halfway through. That little fill, but EQ'd out more. All those effects I talked about to make it messy. Kind of just goes down and fades out. You can do a drum build too, but I don't really like that super high energy buildup. I came from like the neuro scene where more often than not you're just kind of forebodingly dropping into a drop. You're not building up as much. That clone bass layer, super far in the back, just to kind of get the head bopping. I have that Game & Watch effect. This time it's less blobdubird. I don't know. More clear. And then I also turned on this, what's it called? The Dream Eater plugin to give it that nice little fade out at the end of each hit. You'll hear what I'm talking about. Has like that upwards pitch after the hit. It's like a cool shepherd tone. I don't know, but it gives a nice effect. I like to use that a lot. Bouncy effect from Splice. Delayed out. Just clip, delay, reverb. Not much to it. It's on quarter notes, so it bounces with the rhythm. Little vocal. Same Dream Eater plugin to give that bit crush at the end. Cashmere impact, because how else are we supposed to know the song has started if we can't hear a Cashmere impact? That's Cashmere. And then a little riser. Ivory riser. I like this pack. Has an auto filter on it because I don't like how harsh the I don't like how harsh it is always. Timeless, delay, fab filter, reverb, just to smear it. I don't like harsh ends to my risers either. But yeah, as far as mastering goes, RC20 for the intro, make it shitty. Utility, I like to nerf the gain a little bit in the intro and then build up into the drop. The width, always, pro tip, I nerf it in the build so that it kind of nerfs into a mono singularity right before, and then your downbeat can explode in width. It's a cool way to add dynamics, I guess. M compressor set to mastering preset, ratio turned down. OTT 9%, 1000, just to say that I have it on there, you know. Mishby, glue, that's all it is. And then clipper. Who needs a limiter when you have a clipper? 1 dB, 17% soft. But yeah, that's the tune. Make sure to subscribe if you want more content. I'm sure next one will be less rough. This is my first ever tutorial, like I said. Make sure to give me a subscribe. Subscribe if you enjoyed. Otherwise, peace out. Find me Permute on SoundCloud. Peace.